Hey there, it's Misty. I am back again this week to share the new challenge with you for the Simon Says Stamp Wednesday Challenge blog. The challenge this week is called Bling It On, and we are featuring Studio Katia products. I'm going to make a shaker card, and I'm starting off with a die called Creative Stitched Rectangles. This stamp is by Simon Says Stamp, and it's called Modern Rose Blooms. And then the pattern paper I'm using is from Fawn, and it's called Really Rainbow. It's a 6x6 pad. I'm using some removable adhesive on the Bristol Smooth cardstock here because I'm going to be doing some ink blending. I'll have all these products listed and linked in the description below, and I'll also have it over on my blog with additional pictures and more info and stuff like that. So I'm using my Misty, and I just went over my Bristol cardstock with anti-static powder so that my embossing powder doesn't stick where I don't want it to stick. I just got this embossing ink by Simon Says Stamp, and I really like it. I actually almost thought the ink pad was dry at first because it's not sticky, and it wasn't dry, and I didn't have to go over my image a bunch of times. I was kind of testing it out, so I just went over the image like I would have using any other ink, and it worked really good. It covered the whole image, and I only stamped it once, so I really like this ink. All right, I'm going to carefully remove my cardstock. Try not to touch it anywhere. And then I'm going to heat emboss it with some clear embossing powder. This could be done with white embossing powder too, and it would look exactly the same since I'm using white cardstock, but I'm just running low on my white embossing powder, so I just chose the clear. And after I heat emboss anything, I like to stick it underneath something, or like here I stuck it in between my grid sheets just to flatten it out a bit. After you heat set it or heat up the paper, it kind of warps a little bit sometimes. So I just stick it in my grid sheets while I clean up my workstation and get ready for the next step. So now I'm ink blending some Victorian velvet over the top of this beautiful rose background image. I really love this color. I always say that when I use it. I need to use it more often. Here I'm just taking my microfiber cloth and just kind of buffing off where this distress ink went over the embossed image. I cut out this congratulations die by Simon Says Stamp using some glitter paper, which is also by Simon Says Stamp. And it's kind of like a smoky gray color, or charcoal. It's probably charcoal. But I wanted it to stand out a little bit more, so I'm going to add another layer of silver glitter paper and kind of offset it a bit. See, there's that gray panel that I did with the hickory smoke distress ink, because I wasn't sure how the Victorian velvet was going to look with the pink. I didn't want it to clash. So I did learn a valuable lesson while making this card. In hindsight, I would have used a whole piece of craft foam and just cut out the center, because I decided to try doing 2 layers of craft foam. I normally only do 1 layer, and my shaker cards turn out just fine. But I know some people use 2 layers, so I just kind of wanted to give it a try. But because I kind of pieced it together like this, and then I have little pieces for the sides, when you look at it from the side, you can see those chopped up pieces, I guess. And I don't know. I don't like it. If I do it again with 2 layers, I would definitely use 1 whole piece of craft foam so that you don't see that. I know it's just from the side. You can't see anything from the front, but I'm very particular about the details like that. And I'm sure those of you who always used 2 layers of craft foam know this, but like I said, this is the first time I had done 2 layers, so I learned something new with this one. All right, I'm using some Hero Arts acetate sheets here. I'm just kind of making little lines where I want to cut it, and then I'll trim it down. Another way to do shaker cards that I haven't done in a while, which maybe I'll try to remember this, but using the fuse tool and making little shaker packets is another good way to do shaker cards too. I haven't done that way in a while. There's so many different ways, it really is, but I liked the way this turned out with the 2 layers of craft foam. You know, just kind of gives your shaker bits more room to move around in there, but I'm okay with my 1 layer cards too. I mean my 1 layer of craft foam. So see, this is where I didn't even think of it when I was doing it, but see how it's kind of pieced together and it's not the same size as the top and the bottom. So it looks kind of choppy. And you can see that from the side. And usually if I use 1 layer, it doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't stand out as much as this one did for some reason. I just didn't like it. So I'm going to go around everywhere with some score tape. Just make sure everything stays in place. Of course, you have to go, I went all the way around the window so none of my shaker bits can escape. And then another thing I don't normally do, I usually put my sequins in the middle and then put the top on. But this time I decided to do where I've seen a lot of people do, where they put the shaker bits in the actual top part of the card in the window, and then you glue the back on. That was another learning curve because I didn't quite get it straight. So you'll see in a little bit that I have to trim that down too. So this was a whole learning experience for me. I've done many shaker cards, but I don't know, I just wanted to try something different for this one. So I'm using a few different sequins here from Lucy's cards, and then I'm going to throw in some of these from Studio Katia. I loved the black. It matches the charcoal glitter paper nicely. And then I just threw some other little heart sequins that I had laying around. And then this is the I cut out where I added the second layer of craft foam. So this is the second layer I added. I'm curious to know, those of you watching this that make shaker cards, how do you prefer to make them? Do you do 1 layer of fun foam? Do you do 2 layers? Let's see, do you make your own pouches with a fuse tool, or use those pre-made shaker shapes that I see some companies sell? Or is there another way that I haven't mentioned? I'd love to know how you guys make your shaker cards, or how you prefer to make your shaker cards. So leave me a comment and let me know, please. So here's another time where I almost totally botched this shaker card. I normally put my shaker or my sequins on the background and then line up the card front and glue it down that way. But I decided to put it in the card front, you know, flip it over and put them in the window there, and tried lining the background up. And I thought I was lining it up perfectly, but as you can see, I didn't. So I just used a craft knife there and trimmed it down. But again, I didn't like how it turned out. I don't like how it looks from the side. I like the card, I just don't like how it looks from the side. But that's okay. I didn't have to toss this card and start over, so I'm okay with it. This will just have to be one of those cards that is admired from afar. For my offset, I tried 2 different colors. I tried the white glitter paper, and I just didn't like that one as much. It didn't make the charcoal pop as much as I wanted it to, so I tried it with the silver glitter paper, and I liked that one, so that's the one I went with. I just love the way it looks when you offset it a little bit. It just makes that top layer pop just that little bit more. And I'm using Nouveau Deluxe Adhesive glue to glue them together, and also to glue them onto the acetate. That's what I have in my little syringe there. And then just to add a little embellishment, since it's kind of plain, I decided to add these little drops. They are also by Studio Katia, and they're the Simon Says Stamp exclusive mix. They're really pretty. And then the best part of making a shaker card is shaking it. Am I right? Alright, that is my video for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this card that I made for the Simon Says Stamp Wednesday challenge. All of the supplies that I used are listed and linked in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. And while you're there, click on that little bell icon so that you won't miss any of my videos. I usually post one new video a week. Alright, I'll see you next Wednesday. Thanks. Bye.